This is our short story group of Chris Cynic, Gabe Alden, and me, Zeke King. We need our superhero as a boy named Mac Fry, and his superhero name is Firebird.
Our superhero quote is, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there." Mac Fry was born in 1883. The year is 2017. He is exactly 200 years old. He was born into a family of alchemists that lived in England. He grew up to be a tall man, around 6 foot, and he was well built at 201 pounds. When he was about 18, he worked for a soldier for the Queen of England. When he was 8, his parents died. In the 20th century, he got an office job as an accountant. While working, he met a woman named Anna. They got married, and 4 years later, she was murdered by Mac's nemesis, the Sinister Falcon. He time traveled from the 21st century. This is how Mac's story starts. When he was 6, his parents were teaching him how to cut fruit. He accidentally cut off his finger. He looked down at his hand and back at his finger, and it was on the table. He looked right back at his hand, and it was on his hand. He was so confused. He thought he was hallucinating. When he was 8, he was bringing home some food. He turned the corner, and his house was ablaze. He charged in to save his family, but it was blistering hot. His clothes burst into flames. He was bombarded by flames, and he was waving his hand, and the flames suddenly vanished. He then figured out that he could control fire. Using his new power, he cleared the way through his house. The fire had killed his entire family.
10 years later, he vowed to himself he would use his powers to protect families from getting torn apart from fires. One day, he was walking down the street and he heard some gang members talking. They were talking about the hit on 120 Flower Street that they did 10 years ago. That was his street. He stopped at the entrance to the alleyway. They looked at him and pulled out their weapons as they yelled at him, "Who are you?" He then replies with, "I am Firebird." He sees 2 homeless people with a trash can, with fire blazing out of it. So he uses his power to control the fire. He starts blasting it at the gang members, just enough to make them all fall, but not die. About 2 years later, he was sitting on his couch watching the news. While he was watching, he saw that there was a man wanted with a burned face. He thought that he had seen this guy somewhere before. So he kept watching and realized that he had burnt a house. He then noticed that it was Jose, the gang leader. He knew exactly where to find Jose, so he went straight to the alleyway where he saw him. He walks right in and sees Jose sitting down. Mac walks right up to him, takes him by the collar, and says, "I'm taking you to jail." He takes Jose all the way to the police station and hands him in. But the villain pulls out his gun and starts shooting wildly, missing everybody luckily. Mac had to do a special move where he spins around the person so fast that he knocks him out. After that, Jose got arrested and was sentenced to jail for 50 years.
One average day in 2017, Mac comes home from work. He walks into his house and everything is gone. And he realizes that there's a note on his refrigerator. It says, "Go to 812 2nd Street, Ocean City, New Jersey." So he went to 2nd Street. He saw a small white house. He went into the house and it was all teched out. There was an office, a living room, a bedroom, and a huge basement. In the basement, it had a super suit that was orange and red. A butler was down there working on the computer to program the suit. All of a sudden, there were sirens going off. It said, "Robbery at the Blitzes." The robbers were trying to steal all the money in the register. So Mac, aka Firebird, runs down. There were 10 robbers there. Mac went full throttle on these guys, blasting fire at them, punching them. Then, kapow, they were all on the floor. After defeating the robbers, Mac called the cops through his suit and they arrested them. One of the robbers said, "I will kill you." This short story is dedicated to the victims of the hurricanes in Texas, Florida, and Puerto Rico. We hope that this story may give them hope for aid and every victim of every crisis afterwards. We pray for every family that has been torn apart by crisis. I hope that one day we can
Good
develop a
afternoon,
system.
everyone. Please pardon the interruption. Mr. Mendenhall, could you please report to the main office? Mr. Mendenhall, to the main office, please.
That would stop a natural disaster before it happens, or a robot that can take out an entire gang before they cause any violence. Which is wishful thinking, but with all the advances in technology and the help of God, I think we can just make it work. There are many people in this world like Mac, but instead of extraordinary powers, they just have extraordinary bravery. For all the firemen, policemen, and all the other unsung heroes of our nation, this story has been written.